Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and we are about a month away from the drop of the 6th starter deck for the One Piece card game, Absolute Justice, and I am really excited to talk about it. I know I'm a little bit early for it, but man, I am so just ready to get into set 2. I've been in like the set 1 meta for like almost a year since I started making content back in summer of 2022, so this is really exciting for me. I've been holding back. I've been wanting to do set 2 content for like a month, and I've had enough. We're doing it today, and we're starting off with Absolute Justice. So should be a lot of fun. We're going to go through all of the cards for this starter deck, and then we're going to have an example deck list at the end. It's going to be a set 2 Paramount War deck list too, because obviously there's no black cards before this anyways for us to add, so should be pretty fun. So let's just jump on into the leader. So this is Sakazuki. It is a 5k black leader, 5 life. Activate main once per turn for 3. You may trash 1 card from your hand, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 0. So anyone who's just seeing this for the first time might be like, that seems like a really either bad or just weird effect because no cards in the game cost 0, right? Well, that is where one of the identities for black comes in. It has a lot of kind of effects and mechanics that reduce the cost of your opponent's cards in play, and you're able to use those effects to get some removal and everything. So it's really interesting. It's a lot of like comboing and using cards together to get the effects that you want, and I think that's really neat for a leader. I do think it might be a little bit underwhelming for this leader in general. The fact that you have to pay 3 Dawn, and none of it goes underneath the leader either. So you have to just pay a flat, like it just turns your leader effect into like an event card, right? And even so, because like you have to discard a card for it. So like worst case, like you're going 1 for 1 for 3 Dawn to KO something, and the thing you have to KO probably also has to have had some interaction with cards already on your board. So I'm still figuring out if I like this leader. It's probably just a really good leader to get into the color and just like the floor for what the color can do. But we'll see. The fact that it does inherently do something on the front side in the sense that it uses cards to get rid of your opponent's cards is fine. It just seems like it's a little fair. I think they could have gone a little bit greedier with this leader. Either make it like a Dawn ×2 or Dawn ×1, and then you pay the other cost, kind of like Crocodile, or the fact that you have to discard a card, which seems like a little bit too costly, but we'll figure out if that's true. So there's that. And I just real quick too, for people who haven't seen the set 2 stuff, here's the other black leaders that we are getting for this set. We are having Smoker, which is again just only black. It has Dawn ×1, activate main once per turn, give it to one of your opponent's characters -1 to their cost during this turn. Then if there's a character with a cost of 0 in play, this leader gains +1k power during this turn. Some effects don't care if it's your cards or your opponent's cards. Like this only gives the -1 to your opponent's characters, but it just checks on the field if there's a character with 0. So some situations I think you're able to give your own cards minus cost, which to get effects going off. So there's something. And then also there's Monkey D. Garp. So you can attach Dawn to this leader or one of your characters, or sorry, when you do, give it to one of your opponent's 7 cost or lower characters -1 cost during this turn. So this is like probably one of the easiest ways to give one of your opponents like minus cost. Obviously, it doesn't do anything with that. You'd have to inherently combo with an effect that gives, pop something, but just the fact like it does, just like you can just put Dawn, and every time you do, you get that effect is great. Obviously, red is great at like cheating out Dawn as well and finding ways to attach to your character. So I think it's a really, really neat effect. I think red doesn't have as much synergy as something like purple though. So we have Z here. This is my favorite of the 4 leaders. So when attacking Dawn -4, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 3 or less than if this character gains +1k power during this turn. So it has better removal. It has just in general, like Dawn -4 is pretty costly. But if you think about it at the end of the turn, like if you're at 10 Dawn at the end of your turn, then you do the -4. You start your next turn at 8. So it's not as bad as it could be. And then also it gives +1k, the fact that it inherently KOs something. So you don't even have to necessarily get rid of something. And like even like if you're trying to go for game, your opponent has like a little 2 cost blocker. You just use Z to attack. You give the -4, pop the 2-drop blocker, and you're still able to kind of go in. So I think there's a lot of great mechanics that this leader gets to do, and it looks like the most interesting to me. But let me know what your favorite is, and if you want me to make any deck profiles in the next couple weeks. Anyways, we're going to go into the super rares. You only get 2 of each of these in the decks, but we've got the Smoker, and I gotta say, like this, I haven't seen the card in person, but man, that art looks super nice. I can't wait to get this card. So this card can't be KO'd by card effects lore, obviously, for that one. And then Dawn -1, as long as there's a character that costs 0 in play, this character gains double attack. It can be any character on either side. So if there's a way for you to set your own characters to low cost, there's a way to just get double. No counter, though. 5/7, though, is pretty good stats. You're playing vanillas right now with that effect, so that's kind of nice. We also have Monkey D. Garp. Activate main, trash 1 card in your hand, and rest this character KO up to one of your opponent's characters at the cost of 4 or less. I think the Monkey D. Garp obviously works really well with his own leader, just the fact that you get to trash a card in hand and rest this character. So this gets a KO, and this one gets a KO. So they don't like... The leaders pretty much have like, there's 2 categories. Either they give reduction or they KO low stuff, right? And so since the leader from the starter deck KOs low stuff, Garp doesn't really do anything with it because he's just like, it's just like a multiple copy of your leader that you already run. So I think like Garp could be something better in like his own, or even like Smoker, just because it gives something -1, and then you could like use this to KO like a 5 cost, right? So there's stuff there for it. Anyways, those are the 2 we're getting. I don't think they're as overwhelming as like maybe like the first 4 star decks, like all those super rares. There's something usable, except for even blues, even Don Quixote Doflamingo is, and like Luffy, obviously 5-drop Luffy is good, Kaido's great. I think these cards are cool, but I don't think they're universally as good for the color as like other star decks. So anyways, going into the ×2, so you get 2 copies of each of these guys in your starter deck. So if you want 4 copies of any of these, you're gonna have to buy 2 starter decks. So first is Kobe. It's a 1 cost 2k. On play, trash 1 card in your hand, K up to one of your opponent's characters. The cost is 0. Again, like this effect like doesn't work really good with your own leader, I feel like, because it's just like another effect of your leader. So like this is great in, like, for example, if you're playing this with Monkey D. Garp, and you can use Monkey D. Garp's effect they have a 4 cost. You put 4 Dawn underneath Garp, and then you use Kobe's effect, you get to KO the 4 cost, and then you have a 9k leader swing, right? So I think that just works better for it, but I'll stop mentioning that in this video. But it's cool for what it is. It's a 1 cost. The only other thing is that this is not a card you want to play on turn 1, which makes it a little bit rough for that. But it also means it's very viable later in the game when you don't have as much Dawn, or you need to kind of sequence your plays and get that going. And then you also have Hina. On play, give to one of your opponent's characters -4 to their cost during this turn. This is pretty good. This works really well with our leader. So if they have a 4 cost out. So like the only thing about all this stuff is that a lot of your plays are reactive, right? There's a lot of reactive plays. At least in this deck, I think they get more proactive plays in the actual set. But this one is if they don't have if this is what you want to play in curve, but they don't have anything for you to pop, it doesn't really do anything. So you kind of got to be careful about that. So this is very reactive. But then if you have 6 Dawn, you can use the Hina, play it, and then use the effect to KO one of your opponent's 4 costs, and then you have a 3/5 on the board. So I think that's fine for what it is. Not super out there, but there's that. Then there's Great Eruption, which I think is this could just be a bad card, and I could just be like, oh, it draws 1, amazing. But you get to draw 1, then give one of your opponent's characters -2 cost during their turn. That seems pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, that seems like a really good effect to just get free cycle for the deck, and then being able to give something -2 cost, which then you can use to I don't know. I think it's good. I think it's a really good card. I think this card like is the reason why there's so many like trash 1 from hand effects. But man, I think this helps you a lot. And the triggers, your opponent trashes 1 card from their hand, which can come up as well. And then we have Impact Wave. It's a 2 cost. This reminds me a lot of Red Hawk, which we're seeing play right now in set 1. Your leader up to one of your opponent's characters. Gets +4k. Sorry, your leader up to one of your characters getting +4k power during this battle. Then KO up to one of your opponent's active characters the cost of 3 or less. So that's great. Everyone plays 3 costs or less most of the time. So if you want to get rid of like a 1-drop blocker that they still have out on the board, or even like a Zoro that they haven't attacked with, something like that, there's not like an effect that they're able to put Dawn preemptively on stuff to save it. And then also the trigger is just KO up to one of your opponent's characters the cost of 4 or less as well. So this seems pretty good. I think this is maybe not a 4 of, but like you run like 2 or 3, and it's a great kind of thing that you see it. And then we have Marine Ford, and I think the card's bad. I don't know. You play it, you give something -1, and then you can rest it to give something -1. that's fine. You have to have a Navy type leader. So like it's an okay turn one play. And like the fact that you get to consistently give that -1, not again, the leaders that would want to get the pop would want maybe this to help extend it. I don't know, man. Like it's like a -1 in hand though to play it. And then like that's almost like all your stuff is like a -1 as it is. So it's tough. I don't think it's good. I could be wrong on that. That's my peak opinion right now, and we'll see if that's right in the next couple weeks. So, and the last couple cards in the deck that aren't the vanilla ones, we have our 2-drop blocker Suru. It's fine. It's I think this is a deck that definitely would want a 1-drop blocker, but 2-drop blockers are fine with counters. We also have Helmeppo on play. Give up to one of your opponent's characters -3 to their cost during this turn. So that's actually pretty good. I like the idea of like this gets like a cheap little on play for it, and then you can say, oh, they have a 3-cost out Helmeppo, and then go into it. Boom. Obviously, we get that with the Hina as well for the -4, but then it's like less flexible. So it's depending on what you're seeing and what the meta is. If the -3 is more important than a -4, we can figure that out. Tashigi it's a 2k counter. We get 4 of them in the starter deck, which is nice. But activate main, you can rest this character, give it to one of your opponent's characters -2 to their cost during this turn. So the fact that you can just kind of play this and then just wait and see if you need it to attack, like I think Tashigi's probably the best one, because traditionally, if you're going first, especially with this leader, so on turn 2 you have 3 Dawn open. Chances are you don't need to on play and KO something. You just need to play the Tashigi, and then again, if it needs to be an attack, it can. If it needs to give something -2, so you can use your leader to get rid of something, both are great. I think it's very flexible for what it is. And then like late game, it's like a 2k in hand. All that seems really good. I think it's a really solid card. And then we have Sengoku. When attacking, give up to one of your opponent's characters -4 during their cost during this turn. Obviously, like you want some like reactive plays, but generally, I think for a deck like this, you'd want something more proactive where you just play the Sengoku and then say, okay, if they play something next turn, there's a good chance I can get rid of it and go from there. So I think this is fine. Like a 5-cost 6k is great. It has a counter as well. This seems pretty good. And then lastly, we have the counter. This is pretty lame. It's a pretty lame one, but just counter your leader up to one of your characters +2k, which is on curve, I guess, and nothing else happens. Which is really, really weird. And then trigger draw 1, then your characters can't be KO'd during this turn. I think, I don't know, this seems pretty lame. It's like the only one you get, but like it seems pretty lame. But anyways, those are all of the non-skillless cards in the deck. So let me know what you guys think about those. And let's go into the example deck lists. So here, real quick, is the entire card and deck list from the starter deck. So if you're just want a graphic for what it looks like, or the link to onepiececard.dev, here it is. It's in the description as well if you guys are curious about it. And then I do have one example build for y'all. It is this Sakazuki build. It's pretty expensive because, like, guess what? The super rare cards are pretty good. I also have done like no testing on this either, so do not just add the cards to your TCG player cart and be like, Eggman said it was good, I'm sure it's right. Probably not, but there might be something here. We'll kind of see. So the idea for this is that you are kind of defensive, and then you can kind of just do a lot of control late game. The Kuzan secret rare from this deck is actually really good, and the fact that like you do have like, as much as it stinks to have like discards for this, there's a lot of cards that are just kind of dead in hand at times that you're totally fine with like discarding the card. So this Kuzan's like, if you don't know about the secret rare, it's really good. It's super solid. So your turn, all your opponent's characters gets -5 to their cost, and then KO up to one of your opponent's characters the cost of 0 on play. So you play it for 10, you get rid of any of their 5 cost or less, which is great, and you go from there. And then it's just like a big beat stick for the rest of the game. Pretty much why I would think like this in general, I think this is a deck that wants to go second, because you always kind of want to be able to react to what your opponent's playing, and a lot of the good cards are even cost in my mind. But we'll still find out that together. So we're choosing what other cards? So we also have the 4-drop Kuzan, just on play you get to draw a card, which is great, and then when attacking give it to something -4 to their cost, which I think helps out the idea of this. So like even if you are on turn, like you play this turn 2 and then turn 3 you're on 6 Dawn, you activate this effect when attacking. It's not even like there's no like Dawn investment either, which is pretty crazy. Give something -4 and then you use this effect to pop it, which is great. So I think like this Kuzan on curve is great and helps you get a lot of board clear off if you need it. We do have Suru, which is pretty much a copy of like Otama for this deck, so give something -2 cost on play, which can help you, and it's a 2k counter, which is really good for the deck. Bellemere, restless character, give it to one of your opponent's characters -1 during the cost, and then one of your characters or leaders +1k. I think this is just better version of the Marine Fort, I'll be honest. So that could be wrong, but I think it's just better since it's never like truly dead in hand. Sengoku, this is just another 2k counter. I don't expect to play it very often, but you could like give up to one of your opponents -2 during their cost of this turn, so that helps there. Toshigi from the set, I think, is just the better 3-drop of the two. So John times 1 when attacking, give to one of your opponent's characters -3 cost during the turn. So it's -3 instead of -4, which is the on play. But I think you'd rather set up. If you want like the more like reactive plays, I think that's fine too. But I did just kind of want to mention this card. And then we have Barcelino, which is just a blocker that becomes a 6k that can't be KO'd by effects, that's actually pretty good in a lot of ways, especially for turn 4. And it has a +1k counter. And then Hina, the 5-drop, also blocker, and then on block, choose up to one of your opponent's characters. The cost of 6 or less, the chosen character cannot attack during this turn. So that's great. This is really great for blocking. Maybe I need to add more of these to the deck, but all of it seems good for just the idea of like, you know what, I'm just going to be a really slow, obnoxious deck. I'll get to my 10, I'll get this guy out, he'll start punching damage, and then he'll make it very easy for me to get rid of your cards because everything will get -5. So that's the idea for this deck. If it's too slow or if it works in practice, we'll find out. But hopefully it gave you guys some ideas and gave you a good oversight on how the star deck's going to be in set 2 and just how like an introduction to black for set 2 as well. But that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys are excited for Paramount War as much as I am. Let me know any other decks or leaders you want me to build decks for, and I'll catch you all next time.